Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. Pujaswami Tejomayananda shared, to know the Creator, to be consciousness, requires 4 factors. The first, punya. The second, prayatna. The third, acharya. And the fourth, kripa. I'll explain in English now. The first is punya. That is the want to know the Creator, to be consciousness. This happens by living rightly, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. For all of us, is punya there? That's checked off. Next is prayatna, which is effort. The effort to be a better person, the need to evolve, being dissatisfied with worldliness. Is that checked off for us? That's checked off too. This is meaningful mornings, not meaningful night. The fact that you're here in the morning shows your prayatna. 3, acharya, a role model. One we can model our responsibilities after. We have many. We have Pujaswami Tejomayananda, we have Pujaswami Chinmayananda, we have Prince Arjuna, we have Sri Krishna. So that's checked off too. And kripa. Kripa in English is grace. I've reminded all of you many times to not make grace abstract. Tell me, how is grace flowing into our lives? What is the expression of grace? Yes, guidance. The thought to change and the guidance to change one's thoughts. That's checked off for us too. We are this close from knowing the Creator, from being consciousness, because all of these factors are checked off for us. I think the problem is we're checking these off in pencil, and we should use a marker to check these off. The section of chapter 7 that we're flowing through right now, Sri Krishna is sharing the infinite is conspicuous. To me, this is a confusing word. I don't know if that means I can or cannot see the infinite. I'm confused by the language. So let's change it to the infinite is obvious. Is obvious. Yet, we all feel the infinite is inconspicuous, is not obvious. Why this hypocrisy, this dichotomy? Maya. Maya expresses as the gunas, which expresses as khanda. Shared in English. Forgetfulness makes me feel I'm like this, makes me feel you're like that. Different commentators have shared visualizations on how to understand this process. It is brilliant. When you think of the sun and you trying to see the sun, what prevents you from seeing the sun? The sun itself. The brightness of the sun is like sattva guna. Sattva guna is still a limit. As noble as this quality is, it's still a limit. The light of the sun prevents us from seeing the sun. What else does the sun do? The sun also creates clouds. Evaporation, condensation, and all of that. That would be Rajoguna and Tamoguna. The aggressiveness is like thinner clouds. The laziness is like thicker clouds. Why our masters are sharing this? Because where does Maya come from? Who is the holder of Maya? It is the divine. There is more to Maya than what we're experiencing. Sharing this in another visual. Have all of you used a kaleidoscope before? How many of you have used a kaleidoscope? Let me check that. How many of you have never used a kaleidoscope? You feel I'm using a Sanskrit word right now. When you're looking at a kaleidoscope, you get hypnotized by the colors and shapes, correct? Not realizing those colors and shapes are only possible because of light. When you can't see those colors and shapes, what do? You angle that kaleidoscope towards the light. In our day, the colors and shapes are names and forms. The khanda, the divisions, we get hypnotized by this, not realizing that names and forms need a substratum. They have no basis without a foundation. The teaching from all of these insights is to go back. If I'm in khanda, I have to reverse engineer how I've become like this to come back to the divine. We call that yoga. Instead of disuniting, to unite. Shared in a different way. To return home, home being the self, one is to follow dharma. Dharma is that which integrates, makes us quieter. When the mind is quieter, it's like we're closer to the self, so we start to reflect on this more. Shared in one more way before we continue to the next verse. This section is about nurturing bhakti, devotion. This word has come up many times. A bhakta is one who bypasses Maya to be with Bhagavan. Is that practical for all? I hope so. Sri Krishna continues to describe the conspicuous, though we feel this is inconspicuous, in verse 26. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kaschana. I'm translating the whole 2 lines because it's all deeply connected. Veda, to know. Aham, I know. I referring to Sri Krishna. Samatitani, that is the past. Vartamanani, which means the present. He's speaking to Arjuna, he's speaking to all of us. The past, the present, Bhavishyani, the future. Of whom? Bhutani, beings. This is not qualified to just Prince Arjuna. That means all beings in all ways. I know their past, I know their present, I know their future. Tu, however, mam veda, knowing me, nakashchana, there is no one. No one here means very few. The 1 in the million knows me. I know all, few know me. That's all the translation. Elaborating. The Creator is a presence with a name and form, like Sri Krishna. Clear to all. When that name and form is not emphasized, then the Creator is called, I've already used this word, share in the chat or speak it out, is called consciousness. Lovely. Consciousness is that which enables knowing. Hold up something around you right now. If you're driving, do nothing. Those who are not driving, hold up something around you. So I see paper and pens and so on. You know the paper, you know the pen. How? How do you know this? Because of consciousness. Consciousness is one, all else is two. So now change two into very broad terms of past, present, and future. Was consciousness present in the past? You saying this implies that consciousness was present. I'm not going to ask if consciousness is in the present because sometimes we challenge that. Is consciousness going to be present in the future? Yes, where will it go? It's getting old like Vivek, so who knows? A new consciousness needs to be born. In Pujya Swami Chinmayananda's writing, which you must read. I hope you're all joining for the reading. No one can explain this better than him. I try to only kind of be his sidekick in a very relative way. He shares, even describing consciousness as the knower is not accurate. Because knowing implies that there's two entities. Awareness, and then another entity that I'm knowing. With infinity, is there another entity? Only consciousness. The thought in this verse is not new. This same message was shared at the beginning of chapter 4. Sri Krishna tells Prince Arjuna in such an overt way that you and I are the same, but I remember and you forget. I remember who I am. You forget who you are. So tell me, how do we become Sri Krishna? Knowing. Srimad Bhagavad Gita is about jnana. Zooming into this more so that we can practice this. What is your consciousness like right now? It feels separate, right? Nirupama's consciousness and Vivek's consciousness. Usha's consciousness and Vivek's consciousness. And since it's separate, it feels small. My consciousness is only here, maybe over here too. I have to reverse this. I have to return. I need to start to live in a more big way. to be a bigger thinker, to be more large-hearted. That's how my consciousness expands for me, the ego. It's factually not expanding, but I'm seeing more of it. I'm being more of it. Shared even more specifically, live selflessly. Living selflessly is living in a big way. And complement this, solidify this with contemplation. In contemplation, we let go of what we're not. In selflessness, we hold on to what we are. Both have to be lived by. Is that practical? If you say no right now, I don't know what to do. I think we should just Har Har Mahadev. To application, and I'm urging you to please listen carefully because I'm going to describe how this chapter is going to be completed. Your application yesterday was to come up with one English word that describes the theme of chapter 7. Tomorrow, I will give you the theme in English for all 7 chapters. So think more. Your application for this morning, carrying on for an entire week. This is the final week of spring, to spring into summer. It is Selflessness Week. This whole week, you have to practice more selflessness. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be joy.